Out of curiosity.
They're nice. They're interesting. Actually, one of them, and we can kind of get into it. It was kind of already discussed a little bit, but not to that level because the production wasn't quite there. So we'll get to that. So,
dogs,
doggies
licking themselves. Yeah.
Stop. Oh, well, yeah. We've all tried.
Which exactly.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So me and the commish here, we're back. We're gonna do a quick rundown. We got a morning session, so we're coffeeed up. We're not at the tail end of a just a debilitating day of real estate and loans. So what we're going to do this time is we're just going to run through and do a quick assessment, maybe do some quick predictions. But a big thing we want to do with the trade deadline approaching is we're each going to throw out 3 trade options that we see available that, well, I know that when we send out a trade, and I could probably pull mine up and show, we're hoping to get like a package of 2 for 1 and, make the Apple look really nice and get a premium player for it. But I think that the trade offers that we're going to submit could be mutually beneficial to both sides for teams, for better or worse, that are still in the running. We're not just going to poach on the bottom feeders here. I looked at and I believe Nima looked at the teams that are really, really making a playoff push here, and some deals that could, really, really move the needle for both teams involved. So I'll pull this up here. Let's just go to the league page. And so let's just kick it off. I mean, it's the feature event. So we're going to go back and forth with our trade opportunities. Nima's going to kick it off. And why don't you give the trade and then give your assessment of why you think this could be helpful?
All right. So I'm going to start it off with 2 teams kind of like in the middle right there with Tres Comas and Gridiron Throne, Jose and David, opposite coasts. But, Jose has a lot of receivers and a pretty deep team, actually, looking at it. My favorite little tidbit about Jose's team is that he paid, if you guys remember, $58 for the Jets running back duo and didn't start either last week as they both scored.
Dynamic duo.
As they both scored, by the way, last week. Didn't start, which is fair against Buffalo, but I think a little bit kicking the balls right there. But I was thinking of it's a bigger trade of Cooper Kupp for Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh. All right. Show your work. So and then Gridiron Throne is the.
Correct.
All right. So Gridiron Throne receives Kupp. Tres Comas receives McCaffrey. Walk us through it.
Well, somebody else took young David for a running back recently and gave him trash back. I don't remember who it is.
Interesting.
Devonta Smith has been incredible in the last few weeks. Just dominating since the trade.
Pure production.
Total 10 targets, 7 catches. Incredible. But so he does need some receiver help. And with Josh Jacobs there as a kind of star running back, McCaffrey, to me, is kind of always an injury risk and stuff like that. So I think he needs to kind of make a move with that. So I thought about that. Plus, he lost Keenan Allen, basically, who hamstrings are a bitch, as we all know. And he kind of just needs some receiver help. So I know he'd hate to give up that McCaffrey-Garoppolo dynamic duo, but I think this is a good trade for both parties.
It's interesting because I think you hit the nail on the head here. And I actually have David involved in a trade that's pretty similar to this, and I'll just piggyback off of it to propel. But Josh's team, you're right, is right in that like beefy middle, and this is kind of a make it or break it week. And when you're in that situation, someone like McCaffrey, who is a week winner, right? You kind of know at this point that you're getting consistent, awesome production from Kupp, but you need to find a way to balance out your team a little bit more and potentially win the week. And here's the thing is like, Jamal Williams as a flex feels a lot nicer than Jamal Williams as RB2.
And Swift is back too. So.
And now Swift is back. He's getting re-injected into the lineup. And you're right here. You might need to kind of not necessarily Hail Mary time, but if you lose this week, then you're really up against it. And really quickly, when is the trade deadline?
It's next Saturday. So not this. Yeah, it's not the November 19th, Saturday.
There you go. So Saturday the 19th, that's our trade deadline. So keep that in mind. If this week Josh goes down, all of a sudden, maybe looking at next week, what's kind of happening here? Is he up against it? All of a sudden, Lockett on bye, Brady on bye, and now you're really scrambling to kind of figure out what to do here. So it feels like with McCaffrey's production, you could potentially make up for that on the waiver wire with receivers as opposed to running backs.
And he has Lockett, he has Lazard, he has Debo. He's got some guys as far as receivers. It's not just in there. His running backs, he's a bunch of running backs, but I think then he'd kind of maybe look around, maybe try to package a couple of them. But I mean, for another receiver. But I think on the high end, this is a trade that helps both teams. I think that kind of, because David's really thin at receiver.
There you go.
Yeah.
So kind of in the same vein, I have a similar kind of opportunity here, and who knows if this is something that'd stick. Obviously, like I said, we're just trying to see something that's mutually beneficial for both teams. But mine was actually utilizing McCaffrey as well, knowing all that risk that comes with it. And then it's actually a trade that I think would work well with Nima. So with Nima, he loves his shiny objects, and he loves the opportunity to corner the market here, right? So what I saw was actually McCaffrey from David's team, and then you do kind of a 2-for-1 with you, and you actually do that for. I'm looking at probably your top receiver. I'm looking at Lamb and then Foreman. So I think that the idea of Nima having Henry and McCaffrey, he would probably love that, right? And he might be willing to part with, one of his studs, either Waddle or Lamb. I was just trying to look at more consistent production, so that's why I settled with Lamb. That's Arlo in the background, by the way. He's having a big morning. But I feel that if oh God, the real dad fear right there when you hear something bad. I think that if you put something together that allows David to get 2 players back, he gets a receiver and a running back. He keeps Jacobs, but then he gets a premium receiver, and he still gets a very serviceable running back. I don't know. I think that just when you look at Henry and McCaffrey, it might be something that might be worthwhile. What do you think of that one, Nima?
And again, David and I have discussed things of such nature, recently. He's trying to throw, I think, without getting too deep into it, he doesn't want to give up the McCaffrey-Garoppolo duo, which I understand that. But to get something, you got to give something. So, and Jacobs, from having those 4 weeks in a row where he was dominating, really isn't doing the same thing anymore. So, and the Raiders are kind of struggling. So you never know. They cut Jonathan Abrams today, actually, which is strange. So I don't know if they're trying to kind of dump the season or what they're trying to do, but
interesting.
It's definitely, check it out.
So you're thinking that McCaffrey is maybe more of a legit play than Jacobs at this point moving forward, because he's got the new offense, and okay.
It's just the injury concern, and the Niners love using. They get Mitchell back. They love using multiple running backs, and they have Debo there. So there's always everyone's kind of eating into each other a little bit. But I think the high end is really worth it on that part. So something that I would consider for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, what do you got for your next one?
All right. So the next one, it involves you, my friend. Quarterback has been quite the debacle for most teams this year, including yourself, who's starting Jacoby Brissett and Russell Wilson this week.
Tasty.
Really, really, really gorgeous there. But Andy does have some receivers. So I was thinking of a Justin Jefferson for Tua trade with Pasha, who is one of the few teams who has 3, let's call them legit quarterbacks, with Joe Burrow, Tua, and Daniel Jones. So I think he can kind of afford that at that point. And Pasha is thin at receiver. He has some solid running backs. He has HCN. He has Cook. But I think he could use a boost at receiver, because the Boyd-Higgins combo hasn't been producing like the way he thought it was going to produce, I think. Pittman definitely got downgraded because of the move to Ellinger. So you're really kind of thin at receiver there. And yeah, I think you have to use one of those quarterbacks to get a receiver.
There you go. So it's definitely intriguing. And Pasha and I, we had some text conversations prior to the Jamar Chase news, prior to I think Tua was on bye, and there was just that kind of uncertainty about how he would come back from the injury. Yeah, it was just kind of in this limbo period. But he threw out there a couple offers involving Tua, and the return. He was trying to get Lamar Jackson, and it sounded like he wanted to just kind of bolster, he wanted Burrow and Jackson, and let's rock and roll. Now, obviously, that script is kind of flipped, and you see how Tua's value has just continuously appreciated. He's kind of the COVID stock right now. Like, he just literally like hit this time coming off of distress, and all of a sudden he's just this monster. And the way Pasha was selling it was the Tyreek to a combo. Obviously it's nice to have the consistent points. It's just the one thing I couldn't part with at that point was Lamar Jackson's playoff schedule. And when I was looking at when you were looking at it and looking at the opponents, and you see kind of these cupcakes on deck, you figure, oh man, he's got to take advantage of something. He's still got his bye week coming, just kind of hold out hope for hope's sake. And now, now that trade feels like it would have been something special. And he wasn't even seeking someone like Jefferson, who, is a top 3 wideout. So not saying no in terms of what I would and wouldn't do. But I think it would just involve some negotiations and just see exactly what we could do. Cause yes, it would be just a breath of fresh air to solidify my quarterback position. I feel like I made a move to pick up some wide receiver help, which is going to be nice, but Jefferson, he's just like a warm blanket, he's just.
Posh and I had a trade on the table a couple nights ago, blockbuster move that I really, really wrestled with. And I ended up saying no for a few different reasons. I don't want to, out all the stuff, but it was a good trade. It was a really good trade. Posh knows, and I just couldn't do it at the end of the day. But
there's kind of what we were talking about.
Your McCaffrey trade, similar to your McCaffrey trade.
Interesting, yeah. And it's one of those things where you kind of, what we talked about previously, you don't want to mess with success necessarily. So when you think about, like, it's kind of the devil versus the devil you don't. Like, I know how my team operates. I know I can count on this type of production, and then all of a sudden it's like, do I want to blow that up? Do I want to just mess with this? And it screws with your head. But that's the genius of the trading and the trade deadline, where it's just, hey, I got to make a move here. And remember what I talked about. Like, I feel like since our last time we recorded, I skated by once, and then I lost last week to you. And I'm like, I feel like my team's just not there. Like, there's some piece missing, and there's a big vulnerability here. And a lot of it is tethered to Lamar Jackson's lack of production. But I don't know. I'm one of those people where it's like, I'd rather go down with my own ship than, like, speculate and then just get crushed. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's definitely some, 3-for-2s, because some teams are deeper than other teams. Some teams are top heavy, some teams are deeper. So it's kind of, there is some trades like that, but I think those are a little bit harder to put together because, then you have to drop somebody and this and that. The 1-for-1s, 2-for-2s seem to be a cleaner transaction for some people. Everyone wants to do the 2-for-1 trade to kind of upgrade themselves. Mm-hmm. But it's, again, hard for people to give up top draft picks that way. So you kind of have to do a little bit of a gamble. But I think there's just some teams that need to make moves, and we're kind of bunched up in the middle there. Jose had a big win this week against Pasha to kind of jump up on that side. Our fearless leader, Devin, in first place, ratted by with a stupid Dalton 41-yard touchdown in the garbage time of the game.
If nobody recognized or saw this, Dax could have really used this win. I know that's Phil's team, right?
Yeah.
That could have been a huge boost, and this was just the grubbiest.
It was really gross.
And with the bonus and everything.
4 minutes to go, yeah. It was just, the bonus is what did it. It gave him the extra 2-point bonus is what did it. It was just bad. It was just a bad thing. But Devin's team is kind of in trouble. I mean, he made a ridiculous trade offer for me of AJ Brown for Waddle and another piece, and I'm like, well, Waddle's better than AJ Brown, I believe, just numbers wise. Yeah. But it wasn't anything I was interested in. But I mean,
so that actually kind of leads me so I actually I had a trade with I would trade with Devin involved and Phil, believe it or not, the people who just played each other. And this is a really speculative one, and it's one that's you kind of have to like Phil just kind of either needs to take a leap of faith or he doesn't. But what you see here is that he needs a little extra boost. And his best bargaining piece to me at this point, I don't know, like based off what I've gotten, is that he doesn't want to move his premium running backs. And I get that. Like Walker and Kamara, like you don't want to move them because they're just rocks right now. And so this to me right here is his best bargaining piece. And you can use this to your advantage. And what I was seeing is if you look at Devin's team and you want to look at any, like he does have gaps, but if he packaged and he put together AJ Brown and Deshaun Watson as a speculative, like league saver in terms of, hey, do I believe he's going to come back by week 11? Do I believe he's going to start playing and be productive? I know what the projections say, but he's eligible to come back. I mean, that's enough said right there. Like, is it a leap of faith? So you put together Brown and Watson and you get someone back like Hopkins that can like change the tide here when you're looking at what you can put together. If you have Allen, Hopkins, Evans, and then you've got his running back combo of Mixon and Stevenson, that's pretty tough to beat.
The only part that I see issue is that Dak and Phil and them have Mahomes and Dak already on the roster, and they have Mariota too. So I don't know. And then Devin's really the only one outside of maybe me and you that could sit on wait on Watson, and just you could take a couple losses and kind of sit on it and wait on Watson at that point.
It's true. And this, like I said, it's more of a playoff play. It's like, do you believe that someone like Watson could move the needle more than someone like Dak? I don't know. Maybe you try and package someone in here and get a higher return in terms of one of the people on, coming off of their bye week after this set of games. You never know.
I have to imagine that these guys would, because the bye weeks were kind of, I mean, there's still some buys left, but most of the big buys are gone for the big name players. It's like there's two, I mean, not to bring in the bottom feeders, but Jordan has Rodgers, Stafford, and Trevor Lawrence. Phil has Mahomes, Dak, and Mariota, and there's another team with Pasha's team, the three quarterbacks. Teams need. I would like a quarterback. Honestly, I hate Derek Carr. I would like a quarterback. I know I think you like a quarterback. Jose's struggling at quarterback a little bit. So I think there's some trades there, but I'm just not. I couldn't really figure out exactly. And look, for the bottom feeder teams, I understand that they're 2-7, they're out of it. But I mean, you can win high scorers of the week and still make some of your money back. So there's some
true
in trying to get at least do that. And they're not completely dead. If they, let's say one of those Amir or Jordan wins 2 in a row and they're 4-7, they could be right in the thick of it again. It's a long shot, but I wouldn't say they're completely out of it. If Amir would have won this week, he went 3-6 and right in there.
And is there still the buy the breakfast penalty for like the bottom 3 or something like that?
With so much turnover the last few years, it's been a difficult thing to kind of manage. But I mean, I would like to do something, or we'll figure that out. But that's how it used to be. But
potentially we throw the rule change in for next year in terms of the last place finisher or the playoff missed or something like that, just to keep everyone involved and engaged. And that means that anyone can trade at any time. See, like right now, you're right. If let's say Devin orchestrates a trade and let's say Jordan responded, everyone would just be like, what are you doing? Like this is not in the good faith of the spirit of fantasy football. But if everyone's involved at all times, and also remember, here's another thing, another sneaky thing about the trade deadline is that I picked a random player. You can trade draft picks. That could be a game changer for someone for next year, right?
Oh, I really thought about that earlier. I thought about trading a draft pick to Jordan earlier.
Yes.
As part of a trade. I really thought about that.
If you think about it that way, I mean, a round 3 pick for, someone of value right now, like that could be a game changer too. So if you remember all the rules of the league here, guys, and remember that you can trade picks. Like if I saw that Jordan traded with Devin and Devin returned his second round pick for Jordan's best player, I would not think twice about, hey, good on you. That's involvement in the league. That's cementing yourself into the fabric of what we're trying to do here. And I love shit like that. I have no qualms with that. It's just, when back in the day when we saw the trades with people, three waiver wire wonders for Derrick Henry, so to speak. And it's like, well, are you kidding me? Like, yeah. I don't know how you can't write this off as something legitimate, but if you're trading picks out there, I'm not going to knock you for it. So something to keep in mind.
Could you imagine like a team trading all its players for like a bunch of first round picks next year? Just like
dude, like could you imagine having 2 first round picks next year?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. Like Jordan has like Devontae Adams, and I mean, all his quarterbacks are terrible, but he has some Jordan's team, and he has Saquon Barkley. Jordan's team is not bad.
Not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. So
it's just kind of gotten hit from some bad luck, and as we also saw some mismanagement. But like
if
Adams,
his quarterbacks were decent, he would be in the thick of it. His quarterbacks have been terrible. Yeah. He went 0-3 in a sense on quarter. It's just been really bad.
But like you pick up a second first round pick next year for Barkley. I'm just saying.
It's an idea.
It's a possibility. We should have thought of that with these trades. That's genius.
Well, all right. Last one I had was with Devin, actually, with the AJ Brown trade.
Oh,
when I offered him something, I think it's something. I think I offered. I think it's a fair trade, but he probably won't think so. But I think, and on the surface of it, I offered him. I would say AJ Brown for Terry McLaurin and the 2 Bucs running backs. He gets the Bucs running back situation. Devin really wants Jeff Wilson for me, because Jeff Wilson's going to start breaking Mostert's legs and take over that Miami
chopping him down.
Yeah, just chopping him down week by week a little bit. But I just have a lot of dudes. I have a lot of dudes on my team, and I wouldn't mind trading, whoever's listening to this, trading a couple pieces for a more substantial piece. I just have like too many guys. I can't really drop anybody even this week that I was looking at picking up some players, but
I think it's a solid offer. And, Devin's notorious for wanting to give you 2 nickels for a dime. Yeah. And, that's something that in the negotiations, it could work out, maybe now just based off what we just talked about, maybe pepper in a pick right there. But you look at it from a sense of every single time, this is one of the brilliance of the league. Every single time you have to drop one of your players, it's like every single time it happens, and then someone immediately picks him up. I'm like, fuck, like, yeah. Like, why did I have to drop that person? If they clear waivers without getting picked up, I feel validated. And when you look at your team, it's like, oh, well, I drop Rachaad White. Well, he's immediately getting picked up because his workload's picking up. Who knows what the Bucs season is going to look like come playoff time, whether they're making a push or not. And, you drop Waller, he's probably getting picked up. You drop Palmer, he's probably getting picked up. And it's so frustrating, but it makes it keeping the waiver wire spicy. Like I saw Deontay Johnson, he's on there right now. And you think about something like that last year, it's like, damn, tale of 2 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. To kind of segment off into waiver wire pickups, saw some interesting action over the last couple of days.
Oh, we did.
For Mr. Wong.
I wish I had the Krusty the Clown music to play. Let's look at this.
Wong dropped Gus Edwards Sunday evening, which was a strange move. I mean, hamstrings are a bitch, as we already said, but was a strange move for Cortland Sutton right there in the second bottom.
Right here.
Which is a strange move because Cortland Sutton was on bye. Cortland Sutton sucks, hasn't put numbers up. His quarterbacks are terrible, and he just kind of gave up on Gus Edwards.
Does he have someone in his IR already?
He picked up Elijah Mitchell to do it, which I kind of understand in a sense after really diving in and looking at it.
Yeah, you make this move and you don't look back, right?
Yeah, but then he went back and picked him up, Gus Edwards, a day later for $6. So just burning money at that point, or
these dollars are valuable at this point. You know what are you doing here, man? This is definitely the clown player right here.
I think that 5-game losing streak's really getting to his head, and I tried offering him some trades, but he won't move any of his top guys. So he won't even discuss it. He won't even broach the subject.
Well, on the plus side, Cortland Sutton's in his bench, so that's a great savvy move to. Anytime I have the chance to throw away $200 like cash, I just do it. That's like the equivalent of what was done here in fantasy terms. So my last trade offer that I had involves Josh and Pasha, and kind of in the similar vein of what we've been talking about here. But when you look at Pasha's team, you do believe that he's got some room to do, and we talked about the receiver segment, and I think that if he packages someone like Dalvin Cook, who notoriously just towards the tail end of the season he just starts splitting carries, all of a sudden, and now with Minnesota being top of the table and they're really considering a playoff push, you don't know if they're going to try and manage his workload. Yeah. And if you package him for someone up, like I said, a little bit more upside with, I'm looking more like, Debo and Jamal Williams, I put Debo Samuel in there, someone who can potentially be a game breaker for you on the wide receiver front. And then you still pick up a little bit of running back help and you package him for a premium guy who you're uncertain about their workload. Seems like a win-win for both teams, especially since, we know, and we kind of addressed that Josh needs some help.
Yeah, I agree. Josh is really frustrated with his Tom Terrific pick. That divorce is just killing everybody. But
what happened there?
The receivers the quarterbacks have just been terrible. From Brady to Rodgers to Stafford to Carr to, I don't know what else. Herbert hasn't.
Russell Wilson. There's
the top of the cake right there.
Yeah.
Just a lot of struggles on the quarterback side. Also noted that Devin's gift number 3 pick, Josh Allen, is injured. And that's really, the crux of his team. And so I think,
did not practice today, if I'm not mistaken.
So
here's what we know.
Something scary. Yeah, it's something scary. So with that. So yeah, if you want to go to the standings, I think we should look at, kind of who we think is going to be in there. Do you think if one of these 3 and 6 teams is going to sneak in, or is someone going to pull a Wong from last year and come from the bottom and just sneak in the last day over points, something like that? It's because the points are getting really tight. We don't have a huge difference other than David being right at the bottom, but the points are pretty close all over the place. So one big week, which boosts you up on points. Pasha and Wong really need wins, though. They both lost last week. Really hurt them.
Wong right. 5 in a row. This range right here is just going to be a slugfest, and it feels like, I don't know, when you look at the rosters, it feels like the team that's going to come out of it is probably a team that makes the most savvy move this week, and whether it's a trade or whether it's a important drop or something like that. It feels when I just saw it with Josh's team, with the bye weeks coming up, you have to kind of weather that storm. We know that Pasha always finds a way to beg, borrow, and deal. With Wong's team, I don't know. It feels like, Devin's in. At this point, we have to understand that he's in, even if he lost every single game. 7, God, brutal. For us,
you're his only loss. You beat him in week 2, and that was it.
There you go. And for us, it really just comes down to our guys continuing to produce. And then in this range, I know Dak's team is good. That's Phil's team. And then this is David's team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're solid rosters. So if I had to make a prediction right now, I'd say that Wong would just miss the playoffs. And I feel like it's going to be Josh and Pasha kind of duking it out. And I feel like one way or another, Pasha's going to find his way into the 6th seed. It inevitably happens.
My theory is that, when you're on the top end of this, around this time of the season, you start looking ahead at the playoffs, the schedule and stuff like that, and not sacrificing wins right now, but looking ahead and making trades. Like, Dalvin Cook on Pasha's team, his next 4 weeks are a disaster if you look at his schedule. And Pasha really can't afford to not get production and not get wins. So if I was him, even though, and his playoff schedule is great, Dalvin's, but he has Anthony Davis syndrome. He's glass.
The glass man.
The glass man. But so Buffalo, Dallas, New England, and the Jets the next 4 weeks, which is really tough.
Like, if you can weather the storm, you feel pretty good. But this is a big storm. Like,
this is a big storm.
These defenses, I think the Jets are on bye week this week, but these defenses are all in use right now. Yeah. Like, these are all premium defenses.
So that's tough. So, it's, I would look at moving someone like that just as an example for someone that can give him immediate production and not throw away the playoffs, but really he needs to make it there at that point. He loses this week, he's in trouble, especially if Wong wins or Jose wins or something like that. It needs to kind of do that. So, and on the other side of it, a team like me or Devin or you, more on the top end of it, yeah, trading away maybe production right now and looking ahead to guys like, that are going to have good playoff pushes, like Cook's schedule potentially, like you picking up Odell Beckham today, kind of looking ahead to, where we're going to be in weeks 14, 15, 16, 17 at that point.
I actually dropped him already. I picked him up because I thought I could put him in IR and didn't realize that you can't put NA people in IR because, I mean, technically he's hurt or he's coming off an injury. It's not no though. It's not no.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So what's your prediction? Who's gonna? Well, here I'll ask you this, and then we don't have to do like weekly predictions. We can just kind of close it out because we're running up on time here. But which one are one of these three going to make it, and are one of these going to not make it?
No, I think you're right. I think the top 5 are kind of in, and that 6th spot is the one that's up for grabs a little bit. I think Jose's in the driver's seat, but look at Wong's points. Wong has the Wong. I'm sorry, I was looking at points against.
Phil?
No, Pasha's points are lower.
Oh, okay.
Pasha needs to score points, which is again like, I just feel bad for Wong. He has so many points scored on him and Amir. Wong took the lead with points scored on him. So tough go. I have a feeling though that one of those 9 or 10 teams is going to make it interesting. Mm-hmm. Maybe win 2 in a row. Probably not make it, but at least make it interesting. Because we have an extra week now. It used to be 13 weeks, now we're 14 weeks. So you have the space to kind of maybe get in there. 7 losses is not a death sentence quite yet.
It's true. And for better or worse, a team like this coming off of a win with tremendous upside, if either of these quarterbacks starts doing anything, this team becomes scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally just a matter of probability. Really shitty luck that Taylor got hurt again. But if you look at this, Taylor, Barkley, Adams, like, I don't want to see that. And if all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers has a week where he throws 4 touchdowns, you put another one in the win column, you go on a 6-win streak or 4-win streak to close out whatever it is. And all of a sudden you're at 7-7 and
you can make it interesting.
You're boxing someone out who's kind of, up and down weeks,
Yeah, I agree. I think that has the potential for that, but I think the top 5 teams are kind of in there. And kudos to David, because David been dealt. He had a rough draft, and he's made a lot of moves. He's down to $6. He has him and Devin have the least amount of money, but he's put a team together incredibly. Somehow,
they just keep fighting. This is nice.
Well, I dropped him. I dropped him at week 4 after that 8-point performance. I'm like, oh, this is trash. What I would
Guy
give for him
stinks.
now, yeah. But yeah, he's made some good pickups. He just got Patterson back. Juju Smith-Schuster was a great pickup. Jimmy was a great pickup. He held on to McCaffrey. I know he made trade offers with McCaffrey, but he held on to McCaffrey and was able to kind of weather the storm with that.
There
He
you
hasn't
go.
gotten anything out of Keenan Allen, anything. And he's at 5-4 somehow. So, and that's a lot of it has to do with Matt. Look at that. Nothing.
Brutal
Yeah.
year.
And he's still trying to trade him. So, David, stop putting him in trade offers. Put him on the waiver wire.
We don't want let someone waste their FAAB on him. Like,
yeah, exactly.
try and deplete someone. Everything's a mind game in
He
fantasy
knows.
sports.
He has DeAndre Carter. He knows that Keenan Allen's trash because Mike Williams is out too. So you got Palmer and Carter really catching the passes over that right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Let's go to this week's matchups.
Oh shit.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
That was the wrong one.
Fuck it.
No, I'll open it up. All right. We'll do a hot rundown of matchups.
Yeah, really quick. Don't have to go into detail. Let's go really quick with it.
Ooh. Dr. Van Nostrand from the clinic. Who's Mike Oxlong? What is that?
That's Pasha.
Is that no, I mean, like, who is Mike Oxlong in
I don't know. I like Raw Mexico better, but that's me. I think everybody loves the Raw Mexico, but that Mexican flag is my favorite thing.
All right.
I have to go because of your dynamic quarterback duo this week. I'm going to lean Pasha.
Arlo.
What's up,
Arlo?
Arlo?
Who's gonna win this week? Who's gonna win this week?
Not Dada.
Not Dada? You want to say hi, honey?
Hi, Julia.
Nima says hi.
Hi, guys.
Arlo.
He's just wearing a shirt and gloves.
Future
Arlo,
league member.
Who's gonna win? Is it Dad's team or Pasha's team?
No.
It's gonna be a tie.
Yeah, he knows. No for you. Basically,
Wait,
no.
he said that one. So he pointed to Pasha's team. So you heard it here first. Arlo's first pick to click. Pasha's team is going to come out, and I mean, I don't like going against Tua. I like that I balance out with Tyreek, but these running backs always scare me, and I like the receiver matchup. It just feels like one of those weeks where Tua puts up 60 points, Daniel Jones puts up 40, and then all of a sudden I'm like scrambling.
Yeah, scrambling to not have Brissett on your team.
So there you go.
Yeah.
To drop him immediately.
Yeah.
All right. Nima versus Amir.
So Amir, is still reeling from our trade. Really just a tough go. But I'll let you take this one about that.
It's a brutal setup. You've got uncertainty on the bench. You've got two tight ends right now going. You've got a bye week on a producer, and then Aaron Jones uncertainty. I got to give this week to Nima. I mean, it just feels borderline insurmountable. Just because if Aaron Jones doesn't play, you slot in someone who's coming off of an injury. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an uphill climb, I think, for Mr. Amir. But I wish you the best.
Look at this projection, 202.
Right. Ooh. It's those quarterbacks, man. It's 38, almost 37 points from Mahomes. And what's Dax? Dax probably like 30 something too.
27. Seems like that could be higher too. This is going to be a slugfest. I guarantee you this is going to be multiple. Well, we need to figure out what we're going to do here. There's going to be two games in the 200s. You heard it here. I
think Jordan has a big week. I think he could have a big week. I think he could stay alive. I'm not saying I'm pulling for Jordan, but I think he's got a shot to kind of make his roster's not bad to make a little run at it.
I'll say it. I think Jordan squeaks this one out.
Oh, that'd be 2 tough losses in a row for Phil and Armin if that happens.
There you go.
All
right. Josh and Devin. Whew.
Well, that Josh Allen injury, should say, sorry, is kind of going to write their week at this point. Devin's roster does not look great this week. It just looks a little bit. He's starting Tony. He's starting Chase Edmonds. He doesn't have Mixon or Stevenson.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's a good week to hit him if you're Jose. If he doesn't have Mixon, Stevenson, or Allen, I don't see how he definitely wins this week. Personally,
Yeah, if Allen doesn't play for some reason, then
Yeah.
this is lights out. I don't even
Yeah.
think you got to slot it. He's slotting in someone who's not even a quarterback into his super flex, and
yeah,
it feels like Josh is going to pull one out. Get
I
back
think
to
so.
get
I
back to
hope so.
neutral.
We're all hoping.
All right, big implications here.
It's a big one.
Matchup of the week.
I think I agree with that. So, I mean,
Look at this.
when you're starting two Buffalo receivers and the quarterback has a hurt elbow, it's never a good sign. I'm interested to see how Pollard is used with Zeke back. Who's going to take the most of the snaps and stuff like that there. So I'm not really sure how that's going to go. I think David's team, I mean, not to say Wong's lost 5 in a row. It's tough. I think he's due. But on paper, I think David's team looks better this week.
Yeah, this game kind of has the sneaky potential for a shootout. And, Garoppolo is not anything special, but when forced to the fire, so to speak, he can put the ball in the air. So it's nice having this little security blanket, because if he's throwing the ball to McCaffrey, it's lovely. And if honestly, not to harp on it, but like Smith could have a huge week again, and he could put up that 30 burger or whatever it was. And then that's always a possibility when teams start focusing on AJ Brown. So yeah, this is the situation to monitor, the Davis and Diggs. I mean, if you're starting Case Keenum, who's hilarious on Instagram, but if you're starting him, massive downgrade for everyone. So man, the two D's, I'll give it to, I feel like Gridiron Throne's going to pull this one out.
All right. I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not
There you
going to disagree with you. All right. Well, another banner podcast, in my opinion. I think, we did a great job. I'm glad we didn't wait till next week, because next week is only 3 days before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Just seems a little bit of time to kind of put things together and negotiate. And people who don't answer emails for days, send those texts out to everybody.
One of Matthew Berry's things, like his huge sticking points on trade protocol, is to text the person first. Just send a quick text. Hey, are you open to dealing someone? Because as we've seen, some people don't check their whatever Yahoo email address or something like that. And then a trade just sits and gets stale. And then it's frustrating for the person on the other end. So if you're, don't fear the unknown. Don't be afraid to be active during this next week and a half. Remember, you can trade picks. And that is a huge, huge benefit to someone who's trying to win now and potentially willing to sacrifice later. And then, make sure that you're involving them via text, because something's like 97% of text messages get read or some insane stats. So go make a move. Let's see some activity this week, huh?
Last time you said that, the trade of the century happened the day afterwards, and we'll have the controversy. So hopefully, let's get some offers out there. Let's get some stuff going out there, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll have some more exciting stuff. And
all right, buddies.
Come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll see where we're at.
Let's do it. We'll be right on the playoff cusp at that point. And let's finish the regular season strong, gents.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good day, everybody.
Later.